Microsoft is warning businesses about a serious SharePoint vulnerability that is now being actively exploited. We'll explain the details of this issue and what organizations should do next as we sit down and sync up with Rocket IT's weekly technology update. Hello everyone, I'm Chris Swinson, Technology Insider at Rocket IT, and welcome to Sync Up, your home for the latest tech news. If you're not familiar with SharePoint, it's Microsoft's platform for storing files, sharing information, and helping teams collaborate across the business. For many organizations, it plays an important role in their Microsoft environment, which is why the latest warning shouldn't be taken lightly. Microsoft says attackers are now exploiting a serious vulnerability within SharePoint. In this case, the security gap comes from a remote code execution issue, which means an attacker may be able to run malicious code on a vulnerable SharePoint server over the network. At a high technical level, the risk here is that Microsoft describes this as a network-based, unauthenticated remote code execution flaw with no user interaction required. This means that an attacker can target a reachable unpatched SharePoint server directly over the network rather than needing an employee to click something first or needing valid credentials beforehand. And once an attacker is able to run code on the server, the problem can get much bigger. Depending on how that environment is set up, it could give them a path to more sensitive systems, files, or business data. Now, keep in mind that Microsoft released a patch for this issue back in January of 2026, so there's a chance your IT admins already have the security issue addressed. But for those organizations that don't know, it's important to understand that this vulnerability is now being actively exploited in real-world attacks, so it's crucial to find out now. The affected support versions include SharePoint Enterprise Server 2026, SharePoint Server 2019, and SharePoint Server Subscription Edition. Older SharePoint versions are also vulnerable, but because they no longer are supported, they're not receiving security updates. So, what should IT admins do? First, make sure that the January security updates have been applied to any and all affected SharePoint servers. Microsoft marked customer action as required, which means this should be treated as a priority, not something to put off until later. And if your business is still running an older, unsupported version of SharePoint, now is the time to plan for an upgrade. Unsupported systems create unnecessary risk because they're not getting the security fixes they need to stay protected. The bigger takeaway here is simple. Missing a critical update or keeping an outdated system in place for too long can create real security issues. That's where an IT partner can assist. Rocket IT helps organizations review their Microsoft environments, apply important updates, identify unsupported systems, and make sure the right protections are in place before small issues turn into bigger problems. For help reviewing SharePoint or Microsoft 365 environments, reach out using the link in this video's description. And to stay up to date on trending technology news, hit that subscribe button and the bell to catch us on next week's episode of Sync Up with Rocket IT.